Dexter Morgan, the forensic blood-spatter analyst turned vigilante of Dexter, 2006 to 2013, and Dexter, New Blood, 2021 to 2022, endures repeated personal and moral failures. Despite his dark secret life, Dexter repeatedly finds ways to continue, adapt, and even grow. This video essay explores his major setbacks, losing loved ones, facing betrayals, and confronting his own nature, and examines how he copes. By analyzing key scenes and themes, we see Dexter rely on rituals, moral frameworks, and relationships to rebound. Finally, we draw real-world lessons: how acceptance, support, and meaning-making can help anyone bounce back from life's failures. Dexter's core crisis is, who am I? On one level, he's a loving adoptive son, brother, husband, and father. On the other, he is a sociopathic killer. Throughout the series, traumatic events force Dexter to question his identity. For example, in Season 4, after the Trinity killer ruins his plans, Dexter bitterly concludes, "I thought I could change what I am, keep my family safe. But it doesn't matter what I do. I'm what's wrong. This is fate." In that moment, Dexter believes he is fundamentally flawed. Psychologically, this is an identity crisis. He realizes his dark passenger urges may be inescapable. His response is to double down on Harry's code, trying to control fate by rigid routine and purpose. Dexter copes by compartmentalizing his lives. A Guardian interview with psychologist Kevin Dutton notes that Dexter toggles empathy selectively, showing love to his sister Debra while shutting off emotion when killing victims. This compartmentalization is a coping mechanism. He literally lives a double life. He crafts a strong social persona, charming, capable, to protect his secret, as Dutton observes. The famous opening credits illustrate this ritualized control, meticulous shaving and feeding on harmless animals as if they were human prey. These routines give Dexter a sense of stability and meaning. As Psychology Today notes, after traumatic orphaning, Dexter's life becomes about using his abilities to defend the innocent. In other words, he defines himself by purpose. Vanquishing monsters is his hero's journey, just like comic book heroes, Spider-Man, Batman, except with a dark twist. Even in New Blood, Dexter's identity is questioned. Living as Jim Lindsay in Iron Lake, he has suppressed killing to assume a quiet family life. When he relapses, killing stockbroker Matt Caldwell, he must reconcile this facade with his nature. Remarkably, Dexter now hears Debra's voice as his conscience, replacing Harry's. This shift shows he has integrated his past. Even his late sister counsels him not to kill. Yet when circumstances demand, he admits his dual identity to Angela. In Season 9, when Police Captain Angela uncovers that Jim is actually Dexter, he faces a final identity reckoning. Dexter's coping here is to embrace transparency. He explains his history without romanticizing it, showing that true self-acceptance is key to moving forward. Loss, grief, and emotional recovery. Loss is Dexter's most devastating theme, yet he repeatedly finds a way to cope and move on. The deaths of loved ones, his wife Rita, Season 4, and sister Debra, Season 8, break him, but each time he eventually resurfaces. After Rita's death, Trinity kills her in Season 4 finale. Dexter is shocked and guilt-ridden, clinging to his infant son Harrison. He goes numb and seems emotionally frozen. For the entire next day, he cannot cry or express grief. Finally, he violently kills a road rage culprit, Rankin, in a fit of fury. In that moment, Harry's voiceover tells him it was the first human thing Dexter has done since Rita's murder. This suggests Dexter's anger, not his numbness, is breakthrough emotion. It's a coping strategy. Instead of wallowing, he channels grief into protecting others, killing Rankin for Rita's sake. Soon after, he meets Lumen Pierce, a victim of violence whom he saves. Lumen gives Dexter a new purpose, helping her kill her abusers. This joint mission rekindles Dexter's capacity to feel and act altruistically. As Lumen becomes integrated into his life, Dexter reluctantly agrees to help her hunt down their common enemy. Through Lumen, Dexter finds meaning beyond his own pain. Their partnership is a key recovery mechanism. He shares a dark passenger with someone who understands, and love blossoms. Unfortunately, Lumen eventually leaves him, but the experience proves to Dexter that he can feel love and loss deeply. The loss of Debra is even more shattering. After Deb is shot by Saxon in the final season, Dexter races to her side, and she suffers a stroke. Dexter is grief-stricken and guilt-ridden. He confides to himself that he has destroyed all he loves and sees that he can never have a happy life. In the series finale, after reluctantly turning off Debra's life support, Dexter plunges his boat into a hurricane in despair. Yet he survives and chooses to fake his death. Dexter's decision to disappear is a form of self-protection. He accepts that living among people he loved may doom them. He copes by isolating. The final image of Dexter alone in a cabin expresses that he believes solitude will keep others safe. His resilience here is ambivalent. It's a tragic bounce back. He continues living, but in solitude. In New Blood, Dexter faces loss again. His beloved Hannah, from Season 8, died years earlier, leaving him a single father to Harrison. When teenage Harrison arrives, Dexter tries to be a father. After failures with traditional parenting, Harrison's foster history, he bonds through survival instincts, teaching Harrison the code of Harry. When Harrison is threatened, drug overdose, knife fight, Dexter defies his own rules to protect him, showing a parent's fierce love. Even Dexter's grief over losing Deb haunts him in New Blood. It manifests as guilt and paranoia. Yet it also guides him, Deb as conscience. Psychologists note that resilient people often leverage their grief to grow. Dexter embodies this. Each time he suffers loss, he eventually turns his pain into purpose, whether avenging Rita by saving Lumen or protecting Harrison at all costs. He moves forward not by forgetting but by repurposing his love into action. Dexter oscillates between intense isolation, to protect others, and deep connection, which sustains him. Understanding this tension is key to his resilience. For most of the series, Dexter isolates himself. He keeps secrets even from Rita, fearing harm if she knew the truth. He cannot fully confide in friends like Batista or Masuka. Yet, each time he suffers a crisis, isolation drives him toward new connections. After Rita dies, Dexter initially withdraws, even hiring a nanny to care for Harrison so he can pursue killers. But rescue Lumen, a stranger, brings him back from numbness. He allows someone in. Similarly, after Deb learns his secret in Season 7, she forms a tentative bond with Dexter. She moves in with him and agrees to guard him from killing. This mark of trust, that Deb now knows and still helps him, shows how connection can ease his burden. Over weeks she watches over him, and he even calls her when he considers a kill so she can talk him out of it. Their sibling bond blossoms into something profoundly supportive. Dexter survives these pressures precisely because Deb loves him enough to stay. Dexter's romantic relationships also underscore this theme. He falls deeply for Hannah McKay, Season 7. She, a killer herself, understands him. He finds love and acceptance that quells his loneliness. They even plan to run away together. Although their romance ends tragically, it shows Dexter's capacity to connect and find hope. Conversely, betrayal by Hannah, she poisons Deb to get Dexter's attention, nearly shatters him. But Dexter copes by focusing on love's true form. He ultimately saves Hannah's life and lets her go, rather than killing her. His resilience here is to forgive and prioritize love over vengeance. In New Blood, Dexter forges new connections in a small town. His relationship with Angela is a chance at normalcy, and he embraces it, even when being Jim means lying. When Harrison returns, Dexter hesitates but ultimately takes the boy in, despite Deb's warnings. Fatherhood reintroduces Dexter to connection, teaching Harrison the code, supporting his growth. The fact that Dexter can connect with the next generation is a sign of growth. He shows Harrison how to deal with their dark passengers, and for a time they form a functional family with Angela. This bond helps Dexter cope with his failures as a father in Season 4 and 8. Unfortunately, when Dexter's secret is revealed to Angela, he loses that connection. But he nearly sacrifices himself to protect Harrison, demonstrating that he values love above self-preservation. In the final scene, it is Harrison who ends Dexter's life, a tragic twist, but also a testament to the powerful father-son bond Dexter created in a short time. Dexter's coping mechanism is clear. He needs people even as he tries to protect them. His darkest times push him into new relationships, and those relationships give him emotional anchors. This illustrates a universal lesson. Support networks and empathy help resilience. As resilience experts note, connections strengthen resilience. Dexter's friends, Batista, Quinn, and lovers, Lumen, Hannah, Angela, provide not just companionship but mirror his good qualities and pull him back from despair. Without these connections, Dexter would collapse. His story shows that even those who seem most detached still bounce back by leaning on others. Moral failures and accountability. Dexter's other major setbacks involve moral lapses or mistakes. Despite his strict code of Harry, he sometimes stumbles. How he handles those failures reveals much about his resilience. One example is from Season 4. Dexter tracks a suspect, kills him in his studio, only to learn the real murderer was the victim's assistant. He has violated his own code by killing an innocent man. This mistake shakes him deeply. Dex feels guilt and questions himself. Instead of succumbing to despair, he spares himself, does not confess, but resolves to uphold his code more vigilantly. Soon after, he kills Trinity to atone for letting Rita die. His coping here is rationalization plus action. He blames fate but reaffirms his mission to kill only those who truly deserve it. This shows adaptive coping. He learns from the error and renews his sense of purpose. In Season 8, Dex faces another dilemma. Covering up Debra's crime, she killed LaGuerta. He willingly tampers with evidence to protect Deb. For a while, he silences his guilt by telling himself it's for family. But soon his conscience and Vogel's influence compels him to confess partially, and he reluctantly covers up Deb's crime. Again, his coping is internal debate. He tries justification, but ultimately chooses a path that preserves Deb's future. Dex's resilience here is the acceptance of moral ambiguity. He realizes extremes, doing nothing or killing Vogel to protect Deb's secret, would destroy Deb mentally. So he finds a middle ground. He helps Deb recover and move on, letting her save herself. A final moral crisis is Dexter's coming clean and fall. In New Blood, Angela deduces Dexter's past and arrests him. In the station house, Harrison accuses Dexter of lying about the code, listing all those Dex indirectly harmed. Hearing the toll of his actions, Dexter takes responsibility. He admits his failures and encourages Harrison to end it for their sakes. Although tragic, this is the culmination of Dexter's moral reckoning. He recognizes that his earlier resilience, cover-ups and new starts, isn't sufficient to protect Harrison. The only solution he sees is self-sacrifice. His coping at this ultimate failure is to choose Harrison's life over his own. It's extreme, but symbolically shows that, faced with unfixable consequences, an honorable exit can be a final act of love. Psychologically, while it's not the happy ending Dexter wanted, it is him accepting accountability fully. Through these crises, Dexter's pattern is, face the failure, analyze it, then adapt behavior. He alternates between arrogance, nothing can touch me, and humility, blaming himself. Ultimately, he sees moral lessons too late, Deb's life support, Harrison's revolt, but each failure reshapes him. This reflects a key resilient strategy, learning from mistakes. Dex rarely truly fails to evolve. He survives by recalibrating his code or relationships. For example, he often consoles himself with heroism, cleaning up evil, reaffirming his mission after every misstep. This self-narrative is both his coping mechanism and a way to stay sane. Dexter Morgan is an extreme case, but his struggles teach universal lessons about resilience. Despite his fictional darkness, we can extract strategies for coping with setbacks. Find meaning in adversity. Dexter always channels trauma into purpose. Rita's death becomes motivation to protect other victims. Each loss eventually fuels his sense of mission. In real life, resilience research shows that finding a purpose or learning a lesson from hardship is crucial. When tragedy strikes, ask, how can this change me or help others? As Dexter does, e.g. with Lumen and Harrison. Hold a guiding code or values. Dexter relies on the Code of Harry as a moral framework. Even though it's fictional, its principle is clear. Set personal values to guide decisions, especially in crises. For us, that might be stay honest or prioritize family. Dexter's unshakable beliefs, never kill innocents, or in real life, act ethically, keep him steady. Adopting a clear ethical stance gives direction when otherwise we'd flounder. Lean on your support network. Connection is Dexter's lifeline. He's repeatedly saved by friends and lovers. When Deb and Lumen stood by him, they gave him a reason to live. In our lives, reaching out to friends, family, or counselors can similarly break isolation. The resilience literature emphasizes Accepting support from those who care about you strengthens resilience. Like Dexter trusting Deb with his secret, we too should allow trusted people in, especially after failures. Allow grief and emotional expression. Dexter rarely cries, but he does rage and retreat. Psychologically, though, bottling up emotions isn't healthy. Resilience experts suggest acknowledging feelings is vital. Dexter's partial method, expressing through violence, is harmful. We can learn to grieve openly, talk, journal, or create art to process setbacks. Recognizing anger and sadness, then letting them pass, is healthier than denial. Be flexible and take action. Dexter adapts his strategies constantly. After mistakes, he alters his plans instead of giving up. In real life, instead of fixating on failure, we should focus on what we can control. Set small, realistic goals post-failure, as 44 advises, and take concrete steps. For example, after a job loss, Dexter might say he'd train harder or pursue different targets. We can pursue new opportunities or skill building. Action, however small, combats helplessness. Cultivate hope and perspective. Despite Dexter's dark world, hope occasionally surfaces, his love for family or belief in his mission. Resilient people maintain a hopeful outlook, recognizing they can't change the past but can influence the future. Dexter, at his best, clings to the vision of a safer Miami or a protected Harrison. We similarly should visualize a positive future beyond current pain. Keep perspective, everything comes to an end, good and bad. This reminds us that failures are transient. Hey, if you liked this video so far, make sure to subscribe, and if you're already down there, why not leave a like as well? In sum, Dexter's journey from despair back to resolve mirrors the resilience process. He often demonstrates acceptance of reality, even if reluctantly, purpose-driven action, reliance on others, and realignment of identity. While Dexter's actions, murder, are morally reprehensible, his psychological arc shows a surprisingly human pattern of coping. Trauma turned into vigilance, isolation broken by connection, mistakes met with reflection. By examining his story, we learn that bouncing back from failure involves combining structure with flexibility, solitude with community, and harsh self-honesty with compassionate support. As resilience research underscores, these are the building blocks of returning stronger from life's darkest moments. Ultimately, Dexter's darkest insights, that he will always destroy those he loves, become a caution to the viewer. Without change, our patterns can hurt others. His final act, urging Harrison to live by a better code, hints that true resilience sometimes means sacrificing to ensure a brighter future for someone else. We can take from Dexter that even in failure, there is an opportunity to redefine ourselves, fortify our values, and emerge more resilient. Key takeaways: accept loss and allow grief, then channel it into positive purpose. Maintain clear personal values, a code, to guide tough decisions. Lean on relationships for support. Trust does not equal weakness. Learn from mistakes. Adjust your plan. Don't repeat the same errors. Focus on what you can control. Take small actions to move forward. Keep hope and perspective. Setbacks are temporary, and growth can follow. By seeing how Dexter Morgan confronts catastrophe and forges ahead, we gain insight into resilience in action. His story reminds us that even when everything seems lost, we can bounce back, much like Dexter tries to, by finding meaning, supporting others, and evolving beyond our failures.